Meg, I am so delighted to have you here. I am really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. I'm so excited to be here.
It's really fun. It's my most favorite thing of all the fun and fabulous things I do. So I'm really delighted to make a new friend and hear fabulous things that I don't already know about. It's just a time of curiosity and discovery for me. So I really appreciate you sharing this gorgeous space with me. And I would love to start off by asking, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
I'm really just listening to my intuition more than I ever have. I think, especially as women, we've just been disconnected from our bodies. We've felt like, that whisper was to be ignored, that our symptoms were things to be annoyed with, and pushed down instead of really like diving into it. And that's where I feel the magic lies, not only in my clients' lives, but in mine too.
I could not agree more. And it's such a fabulous journey toward that understanding that doesn't end once you gain that understanding. Then it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I haven't listened to you. You have so many beautiful things to say, and you're only leading me to the highest and best version of myself. And I'm caring for myself more, and I'm taking care of myself and listening to myself, like you said. And I think that there has been some of my personal conditioning that always said that being selfish is bad and I shouldn't be selfish. I should do what these other people want me to do, which surprisingly is not selfish of them, but selfish of me to not do their bidding. So it's just this whole paradigm shift of taking care of myself. When I say yes to myself, everybody wins.
Yeah, and I think I work a lot with subconscious reprogramming, and a lot of my work is the root of most everything is limiting beliefs that have created fears and that have then dictated just how we see the world. So it's our narrative that we're telling ourselves picked up, back in childhood, and we've been living according to these rules that sometimes aren't even true. So I've seen the magic in, also finding where those are, like those big major wounds of unworthiness or not feeling like you were enough. I know women, that's one in almost every woman, myself and others that I've worked with. And, sometimes that's actually dictating everything that's going on in your life. It's mirroring back to you what you're believing, right? So I think that, intuition plus really addressing those limiting beliefs is where people start to see such a big shift in their own healing journey, but also understanding that healing isn't some end point that you reach. It's just like constant up and down, ebb and flow. And I think that's something I had to grasp really hard. I was pushing too hard towards this like precipice of healing and then I'd be okay. And it's almost that grass is always greener mentality, or like, I'll be happy when, if I just get rid of this symptom, I'll be happy when. And it's like, that's not it. That's only going to keep you stuck in that narrative, right? So I found that to be a very over the last 6 months, I've really been working on that. It's been life changing for me.
Oh, I love that. That's so gorgeous. We have some summits that I host, and I pulled together 8 podcast guests that have been on. I would love to have you be a speaker at a future one.
Love that.
They're so
Yeah.
fun. They're 8 women over 2 days. And back in April, our summit had a theme of permission. And
Mm.
during that conversation, we started it out on the first day. Like, okay, everyone, grab your sticky note, grab your journal. You're writing your permission slip. And we started, Wendy Harrop has my permission to. And then over the course of the 2 days in these beautiful conversations, just adding to this permission slip. And it's fascinating, even as evolved as we feel we are, like you said, this healing, this self discovery, it's doesn't have a destination. It's a practice. It is just, we're going to keep at it every day. We're going to keep learning more. We're going to keep wanting more. We're going to keep creating more. It's a graceful unfolding.
Totally. But something that hit me when you were saying all that, because that's come up for my clients and myself too, is that you want more, but you want to also make sure you're staying still and not pushing for too much too
Totally.
fast all at once.
Yeah.
And I think my mentor the other day used such a beautiful analogy. I was complaining to her about some symptom and getting stuck in that narrative. And she's like, Meg, I'm driving through Michigan right now. And imagine I could just say to the tree, bloom now. You have to be in bloom, perfectly bloom today. Let's go now. She's like, nature doesn't work that way. Your body is nature. Chill out. And I was like, whoa, since when do we think, especially like clients who are healing acne, you can just snap your fingers and say, well, today, body, this is it, you're going to heal. So I think we're also in a culture, especially in the natural world, of like, do more testing, take another supplement, do another cleanse, cut this out. And it's going out of sync with your body's natural rhythm. And then you're getting more stressed and it actually hinders healing. So it's one of those things, there's like nuances to it, I think, which is really important to mention too, because I do see clients and myself, you're feeling a little better. So then you push harder to get there faster versus sitting in it, soaking in the little improvements that you've had and like training your nervous system how awesome it is versus let's jump to the next thing.
Yes, I totally hear what you're saying. And I would love to just clarify my more. I mean, there's more. Like, where,
Yes,
it's not when I get rid of this symptom or not that if there's an end, it's like, oh no, I'm going to want another thing. Now,
exactly. No, I
the
knew you
things,
weren't. I
oh,
just,
good, good,
as
good.
it came
Okay.
into my head, I was like, I have
Right.
to talk about this because it's something that was
Yes.
so pertinent and relevant to so many people this week.
I totally agree. And I love that analogy because it's similar to, if you find out you're pregnant, it's like that something is happening in there, but you don't, the baby can't come out today. Like it's not
Yeah.
that's not what we want. So it's this beautiful trust and surrender. And we hear all the time, trust the process. And that
Yep.
can sometimes feel like an eye roll if you are just frustrated or tired of waiting. But when you think about the tree, when you think about an embryo, like it's just
Yeah,
not ready, but something is happening in there, even though you can't see it.
exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
where the trust comes in. And I love that analogy. It's so beautiful. And I love that we are collectively, I mean, at least the conversations I'm having, because these are the only conversations I'm available for, are of this growth, of this awakening, of this divine feminine rising, which is a little bit scary in the sound of
Mm.
it because it's different from what is. But all of this empowerment is not to oppress another person. It's just to step into our own agency, to writing our own permission slips, to casting votes for the women we're becoming, and making decisions from that place, and then bridging the gap of where we are to where we want to be by taking aligned steps, which require listening to your intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think, at the end of the day, that's I work so much with clients on their mindset. It's really the core of my programs these days. Like even though we're working with acne, again, at the root is stress, right? Because acne is such a stressful thing to deal with. And there's lots of, trauma around that, especially if you've had a long journey. Because it really does revolve around your entire life. It impacts your finances because you're always trying to heal it. It impacts your relationships and impacts your career. Like it impacts your self worth. It's like the first thing you think about when you wake up and the last thing you think about when you go to bed. And I think without people really believing that they're going to heal, that they can take their power back, that this is actually a blessing that they'll love one day, even though it's so hard to see, is such an integral step. And I think where so many people are seeing these like decade long acne journeys is because they're hitting walls with the mindset components. They're stuck in fight, flight, freeze. And then they're going to practitioners being like, well, run this test, do this protocol. And the root of it is this limiting belief that they're never going to heal. So until we do that and we, dissuade that fear, you don't heal, right? And like I've just seen it time and time again in my own chronic health injuries and stories of the mindset dictates everything. Stress dictated everything for me physically, right? So I think it's just, I hope we keep moving in this direction, but it's fascinating to see.
It is fascinating. And I agree with everything that you're saying and everything that I'm reading and processing and learning says this about every element of dis-ease in our body is from being out of alignment. And I know that that doesn't always fall easily on the ears of a listener because of the conditioning and the culture that we've lived in, where there is a relief from a symptom, treating the symptoms rather than treating the cause. So I'd love to know how how you got started in this, what and what was that turning point for you?
Yeah. So I kind of starting at 5, just got hit with trauma after trauma well into my 20s. Big capital T trauma.
Mm.
And my body's response to that was chronic fight, flight, freeze. And then it manifested very physically for me. So I had a lot of health problems. I had, chronic body pain. I had chronic insomnia. I had acne. I had rashes all over my body. I had severe anxiety, depression, kind of on and off since I was little. I had, my knees swelling out of nowhere where I couldn't walk. I'm in and out of hospitals, rheumatologists, they're saying, "Oh, it must be arthritis," but all the tests came back clean. I was like this medical mystery.
Right.
I had crazy concussions, head injuries, I had, all this stuff going on. Um,
I'm
and
just
again, no
hugging
one,
your
oh,
5-year-old
oh,
self.
oh, yes, yes, yeah. And no one could figure it out. So, even going that medical route, they were just kind of like, well, the test came back clean. So I guess it's fibromyalgia because that's kind of what they
Right.
give you when you don't fit into any other box.
Mhm.
And
I've been given
yes,
that before too.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
I'm not,
many
I
women
don't
that don't
receive that.
fit
Thank you
into the
very much.
testing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the first time when I started reading about it, it got me into the nervous system work. And I was like, oh, interesting. Oh, this makes a lot of sense. And I was just my knees swelled up in my 20s and I had it. I was like, I'm done with being sick. I am intuitively, the drugs aren't working. I'm on high dose anti-inflammatories. I'm on antidepressants. I'm on sleeping pills. I feel like crap. I can't get off my couch, even if I wanted to. This is not the life that I want. I got to make a change here. So I was rehabbing my knees through Pilates, loved it, became a Pilates instructor, quit my corporate job, was like, forget it. And then I was still dealing with insane acne at the time. And so I became a holistic nutritionist and I wanted to really learn as much as I could about the body. And I cleared my own acne with a combination of understanding all of my root causes, most of which all
Mm.
spiraled from chronic fight, flight, freeze because my cortisol was just insane. It fed into my blood sugar, it fed into my sex hormones, it impacted my gut. My liver was a mess because I was on all these medications, but the light bulb went off like, well, of course, this is why I had this many symptoms. And I always really believed in energy work and therapy and all of that stuff, mindset. So I knew that that was a huge component that I had to really start to believe and trust in my body. And so I started to. And then I
I
also
have a
understood
question.
stink.
I have a question,
Yeah.
please. So
Yeah.
you believed in these things, and I totally do as well. Were you in therapy? Were you doing energy
Oh,
work
my entire
during
life.
this time? Okay, so it's interesting. Help me understand with knowing how that was a part of your healing, how it wasn't able to be a part of your healing just because you were sitting in that office.
So talk therapy I did since I was 5. Energy healing I dipped my toe into after I healed myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Now the reason I now believe talk therapy not to be super, of course I wouldn't have been like able to complete a degree or do anything or have relationships. I didn't. There was a time and a place for that.
Yeah, we all
However,
put our boat
it
in the river
didn't.
wherever we put our boat in the
Yeah.
river. Right.
And now just knowing, at least in my opinion, how
Yeah.
as much as I do about the subconscious mind, it's because therapies, you're walking around in the conscious mind, the logical mind, and it's not the root of it. It's not that like trauma root. And so it, like, at least it wasn't until I started doing the subconscious reprogramming work, even this summer is when I really got into it, that it really changed my life that way. So I've been on, a long-term journey with all of this and my symptoms. And um, I do believe wholeheartedly that you have to have all of those things. You can't just have one, which was clearly what most people are doing. It's an either or approach, and then they don't see results. And it's a really hard place to be when your identity kind of feels wrapped up in, that girl who's always sick and has got something going on, and all your friends are living this like carefree life and they're teen. Like I was young dealing with stuff that none of my friends were dealing with, right? So it was lonely. It's a really lonely experience being sick like that.
Yeah. I would love to talk more about the differences in these type of therapeutic routes that you took because I think it's really important. Of course, I grew up in church and
Mm-hmm.
in an idea of what is appropriate and what isn't and what is allowed and what isn't. And my mind continues to expand, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
delighted with that. But although I am in my mid 50s, there are so many things that I am just becoming aware of now. And so I would love for you to explain because this is working for you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I believe in all of this stuff now. And I believe that Jesus believes in all of this stuff now, right? Like just
Yeah.
because the people in the church I grew up in didn't, it's all
Mm-hmm.
okay. So like pretend I'm a kindergartner because
Yeah.
I know that I believe it. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm having these gorgeous, expansive conversations with women that are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing it. And I know I'm experiencing it with,
Mm-hmm.
I have an energy healer as well, and that I work
Yeah.
with that I love, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. But I don't have the language to explain it. I only have the language to say, oh my gosh, you guys should call Rachel because she's like,
Yeah.
does great.
Yeah.
I work with her and she's amazing. So that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So I got introduced to subconscious reprogramming work last May. It was actually through a business coach, and it was very interesting. I was pregnant. I had a really hard pregnancy. I went on mat leave. I have my own business. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur. I had crazy postpartum depression. So basically, for 2 years, life was very bad. I was not myself. My business just suffered from that. And so I hired this woman that really did mindset. It was just mindset. It was a little strategy, but I was like, I don't need the strategy piece. I
Right.
need the mindset piece. And she was the one that introduced me to basically the fact that you have a subconscious mind and a conscious mind. And the subconscious mind rules 95% of your brain, and your conscious mind is 5. And your subconscious is like this sponge, especially from 0 to 7, and it just takes everything as fact and truth. So, you know how, for example, we all believed that Santa Claus, of course, delivered gifts to everyone in the world. We didn't even question it. We're like, yeah, duh,
Mhm.
of course.
Yeah.
Until our conscious mind started to kick in and be like, that's not logical. That doesn't make any sense. So, she kind of taught me that some of these belief systems can be not only passed down generationally through DNA, which scientifically is proven now, which is mind blowing to me. Like
Yes.
you can pass down generationally, like fear of snakes. It's amazing.
It's
And then it
wacky.
can be through past lives as well. And then also, usually stuff you've picked up with in the womb to 7 years old, typically, that then has held a root and then mirrored back and grew into this big tree with multiple branches and showed up in different ways. And there are these usual, like, kind of soul wounds that you come on earth to kind of pick the people that you need to teach you these things, right? Like, the theory is you pick your parents, you pick your partner based on this because you're trying to learn this lesson. And until you do, the world's going to keep mirroring what you need to learn. So it was really fascinating to me and it just clicked and made so much sense. And the idea was these beliefs are really trying to keep you safe. You've learned them usually from one emotional event that was intense. And the subconscious mind doesn't understand time. So it just thinks it's always happening. So it's on the lookout for these things. So that's why anxiety is really common. Depression can be really common, that cortisol kind of fight, flight, freeze because your body, until it lets go of that entirely and that root is pulled out. So, all the other modalities I was doing, they were clipping the tree branches, right? And that's great. It helped a little bit. It's not that, like, it was this overgrown bush. It was like kind of manicured. But until I pulled the actual roots out of these beliefs, my nothing shifted in a substantial way. So I started doing these clearings with her. And then she started doing a certification. So that's what I did with her as well. So her methodology, it's called Clear the Fear. Her name's Marley Rose. She's amazing. She also has a podcast. She's just wonderful. But the idea is that once we find the root of this limiting belief, the fear that is surrounding it, that we're then kind of primed to look at, it's like called our reticular activating system. It's like
Mhm.
has to do with our exactly priming what we want to see with this belief coming back to us, even if we don't subconsciously or consciously want it. But it
Right.
is it is crazy.
Right. Just like
Um,
if you say, are thinking about getting a red car and then you see all these red cars because your brain
exactly,
is looking for
exactly.
evidence. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you get a confirmation bias of all these things that you don't want, even though until again, we pick out that limiting belief. And yeah, she kind of debunks it with what the hidden advantage is of, because again, it's always trying to keep us safe.
Mhm.
So in some weird way, there's always some reason we're keeping held on to this, right? Like, what
Right.
are you
The
going to lose?
secondary gain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who are
Yeah.
you going to
Terry Cole
lose?
talks about that in her book, Boundary Boss.
So it's been really incredible. It gets to be easy. I think my and a lot of other people I've worked with, like, you think healing has to be this like really hard, laborious thing. And that's not to say this journey, even with this work, hasn't been, because when you get out of fight, flight, freeze for the first time in your life, you get really tired and you don't have capacity for as much as you would. You have to listen to your body, you have to nap more, you have to just be in nature, you can't work out as much. You got to listen. But it has expedited the process and changed my life in more ways than I can kind of explain. And then I also have another mentor, Dr. Taggy, who she does much more like energy work. She's just a witch. So I can't, I don't know how she does what she does. I think she was just meant to be on this earth doing it. But the combo of which has been yeah, I've slept for the first time in my life. My body pain's almost all gone. Things that I think I always thought would always be there in some shape or form. And I'm starting to be like, it's actually healing. So it's been amazing.
Oh my gosh. I love this for you. And I love that you chose the certification because you did such a
Yeah.
gorgeous job of explaining that. It's
Thank
so
you.
beautiful and it's everything that I'm experiencing, but again, don't have the language to you
Yeah.
and
No, that's
plus like you're not in resistance about who I think is listening, which is why I'm trying to backpedal my words and
mm,
right? Like that's the
no.
beauty of the podcast. It's the beauty of community. It's the beauty of surrounding yourself with people that are thinking in these ways that match how you're thinking and how you're approaching life, whether that's a new belief or you've always believed these things. A belief is just a
Yeah.
thought we keep thinking. So
Yeah.
you can pull out that root and create an entirely new thought system that's based on love instead of a thought system based on fear. It's the work of A Course in Miracles, which I am a student of.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's so beautiful because when we are in these conversations with someone else, like you could give me ideas for my business, I could give you ideas for your business because I have no resistance around your success. So
Of
it's
course.
sometimes we think when we're doing these changes or they feel like it's big healing work or we think it's going to be hard, all of these things, there's this tendency to isolate, either to protect or just to disengage. And
Mhm.
community, there's so much healing in community, and it can be less painful, take less time, because of course we use the word hard, but I think we're really talking about it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable. It's no more difficult than living an unlived life or being in the pain that we were in. This is just a different
Yeah.
route.
Yeah. So it's just interesting because it having to be hard was actually a limiting belief for me that I had to clear.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right. So like even just yeah, the language you're using and those things that have dictated years of your life, especially when it's connected to a healing journey, like almost all of them are going to be just like limiting beliefs and fears. And once
right.
you do logically see, oh wait, this is not serving me whatsoever. Like this makes absolutely no sense. Poof, okay, bye. You can just
Exactly.
kind of move forward with like, yeah, I think it's like anything. People, it's just society. They think everything has to be hard. Earning money has to be hard. Starting a
Hmm.
job has to be hard. Leaving a marriage has to be hard. Like doing what my intuition is saying has to be hard. And I think it's not it's not even about being hard. I think people just don't feel like they're worthy of, again, choosing themselves and understanding when they're living in alignment, the energetic match that they're going to mirror back is going to give them exactly what they need. And it can be that
Exactly.
simple. And they're like,
Yes.
no, what? No way.
Right, right. And then they're watching to see what the holes in your logic are. And then all they
Yeah.
see is us thriving. And then they're mad. Like, well, it's easy for her. But
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh.
Victim mentality, right? Which I
Right?
was in. I was in for my entire life. And then I kept getting more and more and more of the same. So
Yes.
that's where I believe I remember the first time because I started really doing quite soul searching work, especially as I'm in this industry, and you come across a lot of like stuff. And I remember saying to like a hypnosis lady I was trying out, like I've tried it all,
Sure.
ketamine, hypnosis, everything. And I was like, I think that maybe I've brought on a lot of this my myself. And she was like, yes, yes, you have. And I was
Ding,
like,
ding, ding. Tell her what she's
okay. And
won.
like as soon as I said it, it was like this like weight lifted off me. And I was like, yeah, well, F that royally. Like, I'm not going to live that way anymore. And that's when stuff started to stop happening.
Isn't it amazing? It's freedom
It is
is a
so
decision
much
away.
power in yourself. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Totally.
gosh. And when you tap into that, even in small doses, because it is unfamiliar.
It
And
is.
then you kind of like, oh, I don't, oh gosh, like I'm powerful and things are shifting in my life. When I started doing this work, like really the only thing that didn't change is my address. But the
Yeah.
people that used
Yeah.
to live at my address no longer live at my
Yeah.
address. The things that are
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
here, what I'm saying, what my hair looks like, all of the things I'm doing less better. I am only available for what delights me. That is
Yeah.
enraging to the person that used to live at this address. Like he
Yeah.
just could
Absolutely.
not. He was like, no. It's like what are you talking about? You're only available for what delights you. That's ridiculous. You sound ridiculous, and you don't make enough money to decide who your clients are. And
Uh,
I mean, it was just so
so limiting.
fascinating to witness because
Hmm.
I had I have a morning practice and I had begun doing this work, and I did what I refer to as sitting in the question of my marriage for about 9 months. And I was in my morning practice journaling every day and praying and meditating and reading and like, give me strength, give me wisdom, give me clarity. I don't know what to do. And what I realize now, I wasn't looking for answers. I was looking for courage because I did
Mm,
know. I just like
mm-hmm.
I didn't
We always know.
I
It just
didn't want
can
to
take a while
know
to
what
get
I
there. Yeah,
knew.
of
Like that
course. It's
sounded
scary.
so
Yeah.
sad. And it sounded sad. And but because of that time, I became in such alignment with myself that when I had the courageous conversation and said, hey, listen, this relationship is over. Are you interested in starting a new one that is co parenting our daughter based on the pillars of love, respect, grace, and kindness? I want this. You can have this. Like I had it all
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
journaled out, and there was an explosive reaction that, no joke, lasted less than 30 minutes. I mean, 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds, 30 seconds. And then
Mm-hmm.
I said again what I had said. And it was so fascinating. It was like I was watching a movie. So
Mm-hmm.
then, as I continued moving forward, and then, of course, it was newer. I mean, he knew, but it was newer out loud, outside of our body information. And as he would come with something completely based in fear and lack, because that's where he was operating from, doing the best he could with the tools he had. And he would say these things. And again, it was so fascinating because they were like water balloons that hadn't been filled. So they didn't even explode on
Mm-hmm.
me. They just bounced off. And
Mm-hmm.
it it was this superpower of alignment that when we've established this knowing and this certainty, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. You can see very clearly this has everything to do with you and what is happening in your body right now. And I see that and I respect that. And I loving sending love to
Mm-hmm.
you through this. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not putting my wedding ring back on. Like I'm still like
Yeah.
was so um in my inner knowing and
Yeah. And your
knowing that,
power, right?
yeah, and
You
that,
just, it slides
yeah,
off versus,
yeah,
I
because
think
you
too,
are
it's like
he's not
marriages,
my
if you're
source.
not staying at the same pace of growth
Mhm.
together, it's tough. And those were in
Right.
my vows because I've always been such a big proponent of self-growth and self-development. And I was like, I cannot marry someone who doesn't really feel the same. And so those were a big part of, we wrote our own vows. It was like a big part of like, I promise that I'll always work on myself, but like also work on you and like us together. And I think, it's really hard because some people then experience all this like learning and discovery and about who they want to be. And it doesn't always fit
And
anymore with
it
the other
wouldn't
person, right?
even,
Which is fine
yes,
because it's never going to
totally.
work that
Because
way.
it's okay. I freed
Yeah,
both
of
of us,
course.
right?
Exactly. Which
I
is
mean,
10 times better than staying in
yeah,
something that, especially with a daughter, right?
right. Yes. And that's exactly, I think that if I hadn't learned what I learned and I didn't have her, I would have
Yeah,
continued to tolerate
exactly.
it because I already knew it wasn't enjoyable. I just didn't realize I had a choice. I thought,
I know.
like
Isn't
you're
that?
not beating me or cheating on me. That means I guess I just
I
better luck
know.
next time, like whenever
I know.
that's going to be. So
I
it's
know.
just to be empowered in that place and to give permission to grow, permission
Yeah.
to course correct, permission to free both of us, permission to parent our daughter in a way that is she is thriving, I am thriving, he is doing whatever he decides to do, and I
Yeah.
like he gets to. I not to make this totally about my story, but I feel like someone needs to hear this, so I'm just going to keep saying it. For decades, for 22 years, I referred to him as my prince, and he was.
Mm,
And I loved that about him, and it was totally appropriate the whole time I was a princess. But I promoted myself to queen, and he
mm,
was not available to promote himself. So,
love that.
like,
Love
it
that.
just wasn't going to work.
No,
That's not a compatible power
no,
dynamic. So
no, totally.
it's done. And we get to complete with everything that is not in service to us, not because we're bitches, but because it frees both of us. It's always a double blessing. We get to take our power back over our physical symptoms, over our
Hmm.
relationships, over our jobs, over anything that is. I used to love French fries. They were my favorite thing. The last time I had them, I didn't feel great. Even though I was in Paris, like all the
Hmm.
cooperative components were there. I
Yeah.
have not had French fries since January 2nd. That's never
Hmm.
happened in my whole life. So sometimes things just come to an
Yeah,
end.
of course. Totally. Totally. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Always listening to the whispers and the current whispers at that.
Yes. So how did this play out then? So you're doing this energy work, but then how did that change the symptom, the manifestation of the acne?
Um, I just think it was all connected.
Oh,
I think it I had some really big root soul wounds that I hadn't addressed since I was probably younger than 5. And so with energy work, like I feel it very physically. I like there were days where like I'd have like massive headaches in my third eye for like 4 days, or I'd feel it. We are doing work on my womb and my ovaries felt like I was literally having cramps for 3 days. Like my body's very physical. Like
yeah,
anything that's moving through it. I had diarrhea for 2 weeks, like TMI, but like
yeah, no.
stuff was purging out. And
Wow.
Taggy was like, it just makes a lot of sense because your body holds stress so physically. Of course, it's going to come out physically because that's what it's been holding, right? So it's literally moving through. Um, so yeah, for me, it was just kind of, and I'm still working on it. It's stuff's, like I said, it's a path. It's not like a final destination.
Exactly.
I also only found this healer, Dr. Taggy, in August. So like we're
Yeah.
so early on, and I'm like so excited to see the prospect of where we can keep going. But it's just interesting because anything that I feel I go through, it's for a reason to then heal my other clients through. And then
Totally.
I end up having all these clients who have the same or similar journeys or stories. And I'm like, oh,
Of
exactly.
course you do.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you, girl. We got you.
Hmm.
You can be here too. So, it's again, I just believe everything, and it's so cliche. Everything does, at least for me in my life, has happened for a reason. I've learned lessons that I needed to learn that I would not have learned otherwise. And
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with my mom who she's just like, I just like don't, I'm not as emotionally intelligent as you. Like, I don't like that stuff as much. And like, I don't know if you know human design at all.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a
Yes.
projector. Like I like
Oh,
deep,
okay.
deep, deep. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to your soul. I'm telling you exactly what's going on. And if we can't have deep conversation, like I am out of there.
Right. But I have to be
And so
invited. You have to be
yeah,
invited.
yeah, I'm working on that one. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. It's not coming naturally to you.
no, no. And
Oh, I love knowing that about you. I'm a generator,
yeah,
so like
it's
everything
yeah,
just happens for us
yeah,
and then we sleep and
yeah.
then we're at it again. Yeah.
Lots of energy, yes. Which I do not have. That's also my energy thing. So
Ah,
how I run my business, how I'm with my clients, what I can take on is very, very capped by my energy because if I'm like, just taking on the world's emotions, which I
right.
has been an interesting thing. But my mom was like, I don't know, it just like how do you like living this way? I'm like, oh mom, I love it. Like I like this is why I'm here.
Right.
And it's so interesting to see someone think of that as something that they would not enjoy versus I'm like, all these lessons, this is amazing. Like, I'm going to write a book one day. Like, this is so
Yeah, you
cool.
are.
So, yeah, I've always felt that way, but I think leaning into it much more of like looking back on it too with new sets of eyes just through some of this work too and the releasing of certain things where you also just like have to take a really big hard look in the mirror and that can be really painful to admit where you've messed up in relationships and in your
Oh,
lives and like
all of
done really
it.
toxic stuff
All
and
of
you're
it.
like wait
Everything we've
yeah
experienced is because of us, not because of the other
exactly right and
person.
it's a sometimes tough pill to swallow but also been, yeah. I mean, it's just, I think when you can admit that and really see that clearly, and then you start to see, instead of responding or reacting how you are primed to, you start to see those shifts. And then, like, my husband will be like, wow, like, I really noticed this. And my girlfriends will meet me after not seeing me for a couple months and be
Yeah.
like, what's going on here? And it's so empowering because you're like, I don't know,
Yes.
it's just been a couple months of work, but I'm doing it.
Right. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And you're a new mom, so you get
Yeah.
to
She's
parent.
turning 2, but yeah, I get to yeah, that's been she's my daughter, which I knew I was gonna have
Yes.
just because there's no way. I'd have
Yeah.
way too many lessons for a girl.
Right.
Um, but it's yeah, that has been such a cool thing too in terms of learning what like lessons I wanna like the parent I wanna be, the lessons I wanna do and it's been a powerful thing to have her too. So
Yeah. And it's
all meant to
so
be.
good. I am raising an 11-year-old in my mid
Nice.
50s, and it's like I know things now. Like I'm so
Yeah,
glad. Of course, it
exactly.
didn't make sense all those decades I was wanting to be a mom and
Yeah.
wasn't, but now it makes
Now, yeah,
perfect sense. It's
I love
so
that.
good. Oh my gosh. I love all of this for you. It's so
Thank you.
beautiful.
It
It's
is.
so
I feel
fun.
very grateful. Yeah.
And definitely there is a book in there.
Oh, yeah. I've been getting pings and downloads about it since I was like 19, but now it's starting to get a little bit more aggressive where I can like see the timeline and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I hear ya. I'm just gonna start writing.
Right? Which, and I will tell you this interesting thing. I have had more than one conversation with a woman who was writing one book and in the process wrote three at
Oh,
the same
wow.
time, right? So in writing the memoir, two
Mm,
other books come very naturally. And so you go
mm.
from first time published author to three-time
Wow. Amazing.
bestseller, right? And so I just say that to plant that seed. If you find
Yeah.
that happening, that's what's happening. And then it's beautiful because a memoir, that's big work,
Hmm.
right? So to actually get three for the price of that one very expensive experience, it's nice. So allow that as well because there are so many in the retelling of your beautiful story. There are like 42 courses and like so many how-to manuals. A woman that I just recently had on the podcast, she was writing her memoir and wrote multiple books at the same time because
Interesting.
they were just coming out of her. But it's like
Yeah.
investing made easy. And then she wrote some children's books and then she wrote
Oh,
this
wow.
novella. And she's so now she has all of these books and a line of wines and she was Miss New
Wow.
York and
Oh
she's
my
a
goodness.
coach. Like she's a queen.
Doing all that is like a manifesting generator. I don't know. That's I'm like listening to that being like, oh, my projector self is like,
Right.
no, just my little memoir, please.
It is so fun to see how all of these things unfold differently for different people.
It is. It is.
It's amazing. I have loved this conversation, Meg. Thank you
Me
so much for
too.
your time. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can get on your roster, know all the things that you're up to. Because I think it's really important also if someone's listening, they are looking for a coach and the idea of having a coach whose human design is a generator is totally scary to you. Knowing that there are coaches that
Projectors
are
are out there.
projectors, that's so
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
rare, but it is
Right. Well,
there.
I mean, you guys are
Um,
just rare.
we are rare. But in the code, my Dr. Tay is a projector. That's why we get along so well because we like get each other. But yeah, I am at the Method .com and my Instagram. So I work with acne, but again, I do everything. I'm like three practitioners in one. So I'm a holistic nutritionist. I get to the root cause. I am a medical esthetician. So I also am an expert in skincare. And then I'm a mindset coach. So I do all the subconscious reprogramming work to clear the limiting beliefs. So it's wonderful. My DMs are always open, and yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. We'll link everything down in the show notes. I have one
Perfect.
question before I let you go. Um, do you treat or do you take on clients that have rosacea rather than acne?
Yep. So it's kind of all similar. It depends on the subtype. So subtype 2 is one that I take on.
Okay, I didn't know there were subtypes.
Yeah.
I
So
only know I
someone with
have it.
rosacea, yeah. So it's usually the one that has kind of like acne-like lesions as well.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, like the program works for every ailment. Like people come to me for
Right.
acne and then they leave with like not any physical or emotional symptom again. So
Right.
that's my
Because
goal,
it's
right? We're digging
holistic.
deep. Yeah. And so, I mean, and the reason you're having negative symptoms, including acne, is because something's out of whack. So we're
Right.
not just, here's your plan for your acne. It's like, okay, you've got bad periods.
Right.
Let's bring that to balance. Digestion,
Yeah.
everything's looked at. So I always say, like, yes, it's acne based, but it's not, it's going to help everything.
Right. I love that so much. Thank you so much for your time. I
Yeah,
cannot
thank
wait to
you.
have our next conversation.
Me too. Thank you.